Hello, in this video we're going to learn how to add a user, and then once we've added that user we're going to understand how to modify that user so that we can add some organizational unit placements to the user, and then also how to add a role to the user so that the user can access various parts of the system and see data within a particular set of organizational units. So in order to just add the user, the first thing we do is we come over from the home screen here and we click on the admin button, which will take you to the administer staff. And the next thing we do is then, in order to create a new user, you come up to the upper left here and click on the add user button, which will bring up a small dialog, and here we just enter some basic information. So let's create, we're going to create Alexis Sanchez, and we'll enter some email and a login and a password, and then we save this user. So now the user's been saved, and now what we have to do is modify this user. So pull down the filter, enter the information, say apply filter, shows you all the people that match that filter criteria, and we have our new user who we just created. And so we can see here's the information we just entered, some optional information here which we are not going to do anything with just yet. Most important thing to do after you've created a new user is figure out, do you want this user to be active immediately? This will allow the user to be able to log on immediately, and if you leave the active checkbox unchecked, then the user won't quite be able to log on. Somebody would have to come in and check the active box here. So in order to assign a role now to the user, we come down here, and there are three tabs here. There's assigned role, placement, and tags, and we're going to look at the assigned role and the placement. Assigned role comes up as a default, and Alexis Sanchez is going to be clinical staff, which is a user who would presumably want to enter some assessments and be able to view assessments and submit assessments. And those are the permissions that the clinical staff role has been set up to do. So in order to add the role, click on clinical staff, come up to the add selected button, and it moves the role over here to the assigned roles. And we can add more roles if we wanted to. Click add selected again, admin user, we'll click add selected again, and now we see there's a lot of roles here. Really we don't want to add the admin user and the clinical admin. We just are doing this for demonstration. So in order to remove a role, if there was one assigned that we didn't want, we'd click on the just select the role. So here clinical admin, and click on remove selected. Same idea kind of works here for the placement window, and what we do is we have an organizational unit tree here. We can expand that, and let's just say we wanted to place our new user in organizational unit 114, and there's a couple ways to do that. You can either scroll through the organizational units, or you could come here to the filter and just type, if we knew the one we were looking for, 114, and it would filter it here automatically, and you can either type it by name, or you could type, if you knew the code for it, OU 114, and it works either way. And again, the same idea here as with the assigned roles, is you highlight the organizational you want and click add placement, and it moves it over here to this window. Now let's say we wanted to add just to one more. Brings up 115 here, same idea, add placement, and then let's say we didn't want 114, click remove placement, dialog confirming yes, and it removes the placement. Last thing to do, once we've modified our user, is come down here and click on the save button. User has now been saved. So if we open up again, we can see here the same organizational unit in the placement, and the clinical staff role is here. Now, an important feature from the placement tab is that if you add a placement, it is automatically added to the user's responsibilities. You don't have to specifically come to the responsibilities section and add that organizational unit. So here we are at responsibilities, and search for our user again, apply filter, here's our user, and we can see organizational unit 115 already populated in the user's responsibilities.